Hi friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at a Maxace knife. This is the second Maxace that I've ever reviewed on a channel that's been around for almost 4 years now. And I like this knife. This is the Balance S 2019. Now the reason I say all that is if you just look up Maxace Balance, you're going to find a handful of different knives. This is the current Balance S. There's also the Balance M. There's also just the Balance. And if you look back, the 2017 Balance is yet a different knife than the current Balance is. And so there's a lot of different things going on. The Balance S is this knife. It comes in this yellow handle or pink or black. And the Balance S is the most budget version of the Balance that they have. 14C28 and stainless steel. And then they've got the Balance M, which is very similar, but a little more pricier, different way of doing some of the handle things. And most of the other knives, the Maxace knives, are a little bit more. They're a company that hits the price range starting low 60s, high 50s generally. Let's see, this one is, this one's right around $50 or more, depending on where you shop. That's US dollars. And the other ones, they go up and up and up into, the $200 to $300 range. It's probably pretty much where they end. This specific knife, the Balance S, comes in satin or stonewash, and then those 4 different color handles. So let's get this thing set up on the tabletop and take a good close look at the Balance S 2019 by Maxace. I still have not found where I left my Ontario Rat 1 that I used to measure against. Here's a Bic pen, your standard Bic pen, and that kind of shows you a little bit maybe about how big this knife is. I will give you all of the specs a little bit later on in the video. Suffice it to say, this is, a little over 8 1/4 inches total length. And that's all that I'll give you right now. The rest of the information will come a little bit later. Like I said, this is the Balance S 14C28, and it says so right there. And then it says 2019. We've got that nice satin finish here. You can see the grind lines on the main bevel very distinctly. And so I think I meant to or intended to order the stonewash version, but I must have just chose the wrong version number when I ordered it. But this satin isn't that bad because the grind lines are so clear. It does hide fingerprints a bit as well. So that's the main reason I prefer stonewash. We've got jimping on the spine of the blade. And there's a slight chamfer on the edge. There's the corner of the blade there's been chamfered off. It's full thickness right up to about here. And then it comes down to the tip. So the tip is quite strong. The jimping's quite good, except for I wish it was further that way. I wish it started right here and went that same distance because my thumb's sitting here, and when I reach forward, I'm just getting a little bit of that jimping, instead of a lot of it. Now, if you do use that forward choil, you can get your thumb up there, but that forward choil is the next thing that's a little bit off. It looks like it's going to be a big forward choil here, but then when you get to here, the radius turns very quickly. And I nicked the edge of my finger a little bit with that corner right there, because you put your hand on like this, and as you can see right there, it's easy to nip the corner of your finger. You can deal with that easily enough. I could take a little file to it and file that angle off just a little bit. I'd lose maybe a millimeter of cutting edge, but it would be much more comfortable. That's something I've done before. But the handle is quite nice, basically. The blade, I should say. The handle's also quite nice. We've got G10 that's been not molded, but it's been shaped to fit the handle very well. As you can see right here, the liner is consistent thickness all the way along the stainless steel, but the G10 seems kind of thin right there. but you move back and it gets thicker and thicker and thicker. So this back end here is deeper this way than it is up here at the back. But then on the belly, it almost sort of does the opposite. It's thicker here and it comes thinner. So it has a distinct shape to it, but it actually is very comfortable in hand. I really like how this knife feels. The liners also have got the corners chamfered off, and that's very good. It's a little bit of jimping on the back spacer. Lanyard hole is a long extended hole there. T8 screws everywhere. Well, that one's the show side, so there's no screw head there, but the screw head is back here. Even the screws for the pocket clip are also T8. Deep carry pocket clip. The pocket clip sticks out more than the rest of the knife right there. The screws are proud. They're not recessed in there. And then you've got the lip coming up right there. And, not bad. It's nicely rounded and radiused. Not a hot spot. I prefer it to be flat on the top of on the end of the pocket clips, but that's not bad. And now let's see how it looks going into the pocket. And that first screw on this pair of pants here, it tends to catch. Here, I put it on, it tends to catch on that screw a little bit. So it doesn't go all the way in all that easily. But this is horizontal. My hands are in a weird position. That's part of the reason why it's not working. But that is another one of the cons. I wish they would have recessed those screws a little bit so that, they wouldn't catch on there. If it does catch on there and it doesn't get all the way in, then it sits like that. And if it goes in all the way, as you saw before, then it sits like very well hidden, even though it's got colors. So there you go. That's another thing to consider in case you want to get this knife. And there's their logo. There's an M with a little A inside. The M is, this shiny steel color, and then the A is the sort of, it's not ink, but, the laser etched color right there. Quite nice, quite comfortable. We'll take the knife apart a little bit later. You can see that there's some skeletonizing in there. Actually, let's take this knife apart and take a look at it right now instead of later on in the video. And this is the Balance S taken apart. You can see skeletonizing all over on both of the handle scales. And the liners, I should say. The scales are just thin G10. And that's one of the reasons why this knife isn't so super heavy. We've got stainless steel ball bearings and stainless steel detent ball there, locking pivot pin, nothing fancy, and nothing crazy. You can take this back spacer out if you don't want it, and you would just have plain pivot pins, body pins. So very easy to make that kind of adjustment if you want to. A lot of knives you can do that, and I rarely mention that, but just in case you don't like the blue with the yellow, you can always dye this black if you want to, I guess. Yellow and black, those are kind of classic, kind of warning colors too. And the good quality screws. Thick stop pin, well-made knife as far as I can tell. So, yeah, it's kind of nice. It's got a good build quality and very functional, and I like it quite a lot. The action of it, it works very well. You can do the light switch method where you're pulling straight back. You push down on just a bit of an angle and it comes flying out. The detent is quite good. Holds it fairly well. I can shake it and suddenly stop. I just did it off screen a bit. And, it doesn't come flying out. So that's a good thing. That's one of the things Canada Border Services Agency looks for in a knife. If they can not hold the blade anywhere and shake it and suddenly stop and make it come flying out, well, then they're going to not allow you to import that knife. So, since I I will find it, my other stuff, I'll again use this huge tape measure on the corner of the screen here And as long as this is on the screen, I'm talking measurements and details and such. First off, we have the weight, 142 grams. That's 5 ounces even. So that's a good weight for this knife. Some people might want it to be even lighter, but I find it to be very comfortable weight for the size of a knife that you have. Well, what size of a knife do you have? Well, wait, for sharpness. I started skipping ahead. The factory sharpness on this knife is 140 best, so that's very good. I like that. Now for the dimensions, the cutting edge length, so tip to the sharpness choil right there, 8.64 centimeters, 3.4 inches. The tip of the blade to the closest spot on the handle is 8.91 centimeters, 3.51 inches, so 3.5 inch blade, not bad at all. The thickness of the blade, right here, closest to the handle, 3.32 millimeters, that's 0.1305 of an inch, so just over 1/8 of an inch thick. The blade depth, some people call it the blade width, I go 1 inch up from the sharpness choil, and 2.474 centimeters, that's 1.08 of an inch. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, it's 0.5 millimeter, that's 19.5 thousandths of an inch, so very good. Thinness, I like it that thin. The grind angle that they put on either side of the blade here, they were quite consistent anyways. 22.7 degrees on one side, 22.8 degrees on the other. I've forgotten which is which, and it doesn't really matter. 14C28N, you could go anywhere from 18 degrees per side and up, and you'll still get a lot of robustness out of that cutting edge. So I suspect the first time I sharpen this, I'll reduce the angle a little bit. Now for the handle length, 12.1 centimeters, 4.76 inches. So 3.5, 4 3/4. Not bad a ratio between blade and handle. The grip area is, roughly 10 centimeters, 4 inches, maybe just a little bit more than that. The handle thickness, that's this dimension. The thickest spot I could find, I think it was right here on the belly, in the middle of the belly of the handle, is 1.406 centimeters. That's 0.554 of an inch. So a little over 0.5 inch thick. Not bad for this big full-size knife. The handle depth is largest, I think, right back here. Or maybe it was, I forget exactly where the handle depth, not counting the front end here. The depth this way, 2.38, 2.83 centimeters, 1.113 inches. And the blade depth anywhere when the knife is closed, not counting the flipper, is right about here, and that is 3.49 centimeters, 1.37 inches. The total length of this knife when the blade's deployed is 21.1 centimeters, 8.31 inches. So that's a good full-size knife. And that's pretty much it for the specs. How much does this knife cost? Well, it all depends on where you go. I got mine from White Mountain Knives, and this knife there, if I can read my notes properly, here, I'll show you some of my notes just for a second. There's my notes on price, and yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I keep notes, but sometimes they're not the super neatest. This SS, the S version, which is also sometimes labeled as the Balance SS, $49.50. That's not bad at all. You take off 10% of anything that you find at White Mountain Knives when you use my coupon code CCE for Canadian Cutting Edge. So you can get it for better than that. The M version, which has got a different handle. I think it's got titanium liners instead of stainless steel. I should double check that. But it's the step up. That one's $90. So that's $81 after the discount. The discount price on this one is $49.50. The base price is $55 US if you don't use my coupon code. AliExpress might have it, does have it for a little bit less, but of course then that's shipping from China. The store in Europe, in England, the UK, that area, Lamnia is the place for you guys. They've also got the knife depending on where you live, because they include the VAT for the various countries all around that part of the world. I could not find this knife anywhere on Amazon. in any of those main countries that I deal with, Canada, the United States, Germany, or the UK. So if you find it on Amazon in any of those countries, please let me know and I'll add links down below. So the features that I like and dislike, stuff that's unique, I like the steel that they chose. Very good for this knife. It's, a step up from budget steel. It's not a high-end steel, but it's a step up from budget, to be sure. The flipper has good action. Alignment for the lockup. It locks up nice and early, exactly where I want it to be. Not too early, but very good. The alignment when the blade's closed, very, very good indeed. The feel in the hand, is very comfortable. Many different grips are quite comfortable. The access to the liner lock release is very good. There's slight jimping on there. And easy to operate to open and close this knife. With my left hand, I keep not putting enough pressure on when I'm not thinking, but as you can see, it's easy to flip this knife on the left hand. It's just sometimes I do that when I'm looking at my notes and not thinking, ooh, I shouldn't push the blade open like that. But skin is usually pretty thick and tough, at least on my hands. I like that the pocket clip is really deep. I really wish it was right and left and not just right. So that's a pro and a con. I like the jimping on the G10 spacer back here. That adds to a lot of the grip to be very comfortable and feel good in the hand. Hardware is very good. Nice T8 screws. They're recessed here in the handle. Not completely, but mostly. Pivot pin is really good. Another little bit of a con I mentioned before. I wish that forward choil would come out just a little bit further before the cutting edge. I do like that it's satin or stonewash. So what do you think of this knife? Do you have one? Do you know anybody that has one? If you're interested, some of these are on sale at White Mountain Knives. Some of them are sold out. If it says notify me underneath the knife, you can put your email address in there and they will email you when it's back in stock. So it's certainly not a low budget knife, but I think this is within the budget realm. And I think you get very good quality for the amount that you have to pay to get this knife. And I like their selection of colors. So thanks for watching my little video. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.